Sucio Talk Podcast, Oakland, California. Out here with Chef Reem Assil.
Boom.
Boom. We're here. We're starting it. How you doing?
I'm doing all right.
We've been talking now for the last fucking 20 minutes. I'm going to turn on the goddamn camera, David.
You missed all the gems.
It's all good. It's all good. I do that a lot sometimes, and then I'm like, you know what? Doesn't matter. We're going to still have a good time out here. How you doing?
I'm good. Still waking up. Got my coffee.
That's good. That's good. What are you drinking on? Are you specific about your coffee, or are you just fucking Folgers?
Oh, no. I grew up on, I'm a child of immigrants, so I grew up on the Nescafe and the what's it called, instant coffee.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I like my coffee black and strong.
Got it. I heard that, Chef. Any sugar?
No sugar.
No sugar.
Yeah, I'm sweet enough.
Damn. Hey, Chef. Hey.
I got the one-liners.
It's a damn. I mean, Chef, you've been on Netflix. We were just talking about that. And it's amazing that now you find yourself here after you were on Netflix. Usually people go to Netflix, they never look back on Sucio Talk.
Oh, you know what? I'm a pinch hitter for the big people.
There you go. They're like, we don't have anybody.
We don't have anybody. Yeah, it's like a last.
Bring in Reem. She'll do it.
Sure.
Do you overbook the shit out of yourself or what?
Totally.
Yeah.
I used to, but I feel like I've gotten better.
Yeah.
It's taken time to figure out, I think, what's important to me.
Yeah.
It's the complex of like, I'm not going to be relevant if I don't say yes to everything.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm relevant. To pay me to come to their things.
Yeah. Do you find yourself looking in the mirror a lot, questioning whether you're relevant or not?
Sometimes. Depends on the context. I feel like there are times where I'm like, why wasn't I invited to this book fair? Like, I have a best-selling book. Like, and then I'm like, that's just my ego talking.
Mm-hmm.
It's not personal. It's, I'm still relevant. There's a lot of people who look to Reams or any of the things, the projects that I'm working on that mean something to them. So I just have to remind myself that. But every once in a while I get FOMO.
I feel that. I've been trying to get a media pass to the goddamn Michelin Awards for like 2 years now. And every time they're like, ooh, sorry, don't have any space. And I'm like, fuck. I'm like, I just want to do like cool ass interviews like this, standing up with a bunch of people at the same time. Just
You're like, who are you?
Exactly, kind of shit. Because it's like, we already know who everyone is. You might as well get someone in there to mix it up a bit.
Yeah, totally.
Add some flavor to the whole situation. You know what I'm saying? Because
has Michelin got a little hipper? No.
Yeah, I feel like
trying.
I mean, they're definitely trying, and I appreciate that. All you can do is try. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't. It's not. What are you gonna do?
It'd be nice if some of the winners were a little bit more interesting. Sometimes
I can feel that. I can feel that. I think there's a new wave of chef brewing. I think you're at the forefront of that.
Oh no, I'm not. I'm not a star chaser, so
right.
I think that's the funny thing.
I meant you were just a little crazy.
Oh, I'm a little crazy. Oh yeah. But I feel like chefs are crazy. It doesn't matter if you're at a Michelin star or like a mom and pop's restaurant.
Last time I saw you was at POC Food and Wine. They were doing some bites over there. How does that work? Are they just reaching out to you, being like, "Come to do this event," or do you want to do the event? How do you choose?
Yeah, I feel like that was a really good example of wanting to be a part of something that is new and different. I think that the organizers of that event, they were really taking risks, right? Like, nobody has ever done it. Make it Marco.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have her on the show soon.
Oh, awesome.
Soon.
Yeah.
Whenever I get around to it. Yeah.
But she like put her whole, I think, savings on the line for that. She believed in something so wholeheartedly.
She did a fucking fantastic job.
She did an amazing job for, the resources that she had. I mean, it takes a while to get sponsorships and all of that to make it more profitable. But in terms of like what was felt, I mean, this is what happens when you actually invest in people of color
Yeah.
to run our own programs. Like it's more vibrant, it's more flavorful. It's just like, and it feels like community. Not everybody's trying to one up each other or like, you know, be the best. Like we all kind of celebrate each other's talents. So yeah, with that particular event, you know, I had no idea who the audience was, but I knew that I could bring something to it to kind of support outreach and all of that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, and the fact that we kicked off the POC food event with a big Palestine.
That's right. That's right. You did that.
And I got to pay homage to my people who are facing a genocide right now. And that might seem trivial, but there's just something really powerful to be able to have other people in these food spaces bear witness, because it just feels like, I'm alone on a mountaintop or in some hidden forest right now.
Yeah.
That's how it feels for the last year. So
yeah,
I make my decisions based on those values.
Got it. Yeah, you've been doing a lot of dinners and outreach based off of that.
Yeah, because I think that's what I know how to do. I mean, food is the thing that can like call people in, I guess.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's always been the ethos of my restaurants. That if you can kind of get people at their senses, lay down the barriers a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe catch them off guard. Some Trojan horse
like,
style.
Who let her in here?
Wait, what? All of a sudden they're thinking about like the world, right?
Right.
In a different way. There's something really, if I can use food as a tool to do that.
I kind of like that when you have that moment with someone where they're like, I underestimated you and you're good.
And I am good.
Yeah, and they're like, damn it.
Yeah, motherfucker,
and they walk
I'm
away.
good. Yeah.
Fuck you. You're fucking champagne.
You know, it's so funny because I never had that compass where I expected people for me to fail.
Yeah.
I always had no choice. Like, I think I always felt like I just had no other choice but to succeed.
Right.
If that makes sense. It wasn't, I've failed so many times. Like, I'm so used to failure now. But like the end game is success. You know what I'm saying? It's like that grit, and I don't know where that comes from, but it's
like, you know, at some point you're gonna win, no matter what.
Exactly. Like, it's not because I think I'm like the shit, but like it's just ingrained in me that you just keep going until, which could be dangerous, right? Because then it'll never be enough. You're like, okay, what's the next thing? Like, you can't even celebrate your accomplishments. Be like, yeah.
I hear that.
I'm the shit, and I can rest now.
It's a balance.
And like enjoy myself and like enjoy the fruits.
You can also schedule your projects. You know, I feel like writers do this well, where they're like, my book is going to be out in 4 years. I feel like chefs are like, next year I'm going to be best chef.
That's
I'm
true.
like, come on, man. Like, you hadn't even opened the place.
Yeah,
you know?
Totally.
And we're definitely like, but we have to tout our trumpet before we open anything, or else we didn't market it enough. And they didn't go because you didn't tell anybody and all that. Speaking about failures, what do you think your biggest failure is ever?
Oh
and do you draw like inspiration from it still? Is it still something that maybe you're still working on that's not a failure? It's like maybe a failure in the moment.
I think, my ongoing theme, I don't know if you would call it a failure, is my fear is of my greatness. I feel like I want to be, you know, and I do it in these kind of ways that I don't even realize.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, oh shit, people are paying attention.
Right.
But for all my life, I've like I was an organizer. I was the person I was the stage manager.
Right.
Even as a chef, even at Reem's, you know, I'm selling it to my employees.
Yeah.
I want to be the stage manager because I'm like afraid of getting out there and people saying I'm a scam. Like I can't live by the words that I promise.
Right.
So, I tend to limit myself because I just want to be a woman of the people. I want to be in the backdrop. And I think that sometimes is my worst enemy, like my own worst enemy, because then I restrict myself from opportunities that, you know, I just don't want to sell out. I have a fear. And I think it's mostly what people think. Like I want to be, you know, I don't want to be seen. I know who I am, but
what is selling out for you? You think?
I don't even have a. I guess forgetting my community or like not thinking of them first whenever I make a decision.
Right. I think the thing about the community is like they'll turn their back on you immediately. You know, and I know you obviously came from somewhere and you have to always pay homage to them, but if you limit yourself, Reem, this is you limiting yourself also?
My community has never turned its back on me in some ways in some of my hardest times. So
do you think they will? You think they will if you quote unquote sold out? Or do you think they'd just be mad at you for a year and then?
Oh, and then they'll forget it.
I don't know what I'm saying. I think you can.
I'm just waiting to be canceled.
Yeah. No, you
that used to be my joke. I'm like, when am I going to get canceled? Like I mean, I say it facetiously, but I think that, most of my community actually really supports me. So it's all in my head.
Right.
You know, people want my success. My success is their success. You know, I have a platform and I get to be a voice for the people.
Right.
And I try not to take that for granted.
Right.
You know, I think where it gets hard is like what decisions I make to take care of myself. And sometimes it's like selfish, you know, in that way.
I feel like you're balancing it. It sounds like you're balancing it out pretty well.
Yeah.
For the most part. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, it's not perfect.
It's not perfect, but I try.
Do you feel pressure to expand and have more
Reems?
All
the time. Yeah. People are like, we want one in LA. We want one in, you know, like I've been corralled by so many real estate developers. And
would you be down for that? Or are you slowly?
No, I mean, we were on really a pathway to like growth.
Yeah.
Right before the pandemic. And I think that slowed me down. I think what I've learned from those relationships, everybody's trying to get something from you. It's very extractive.
Right.
At the end of the day, there are very few people out there that's like
actually
really
care.
Well, that they're really proposing a win-win. Do you know what I'm saying? They're like, it's a win-win, but I'm like, is it really when this like lease exponentially rises?
Yeah.
Like you don't want us here for the long run. You want to make your money. You want to get your flat, you know. So I never want to be a tool for anyone. I mean, I did that. I was, you know, I partnered with Daniel Patterson to make Diafa, and that was really awesome. But it wasn't really a win-win. You know what I'm saying? Like I got something out of it, but nothing that I didn't manifest for myself. I think if I learn, they're like, you know, but there are people out there who are trying to help you, but they're very few and far between. They're trying to help themselves. Right. And so figuring out those relationships where it's equitable and what people get out of the relationship.
Got it. And how did you meet Daniel Patterson?
He walked into my restaurant.
Oh, really?
I was like 8 months pregnant, and he already had the idea of wanting to start something.
So you didn't even know him?
We knew each other through like, I used to be on the board of Restore Oakland, which is like this. They were partnering, or one of the owners of the building was a Restaurant Opportunity Center who had these restaurants called Colors. I don't know if you're familiar, but Colors was a project of the Restaurant Opportunity Center to support. There was a fine dining restaurant in New York, right around the World Trade Center.
Okay.
That suffered a huge blow after 9/11, and then those workers came together, and then with the help of Restaurant Opportunity Center, tried to like reopen this fine dining restaurant as a training center for folks of color. So the whole theory is like we can get let's make the fine dining space more equitable. I mean, it's not a surprise that
it's not.
The further you go back into a fine dining establishment, the blacker it gets.
Yeah.
Right? Like there are no real folks of color at the helm of, especially the service oriented, where at that time was the higher paying jobs.
Yeah, definitely.
So anyways, yeah, I don't know why I went on.
It's okay. Sucio
talk. But there, for a myriad of reasons, I think that theory was flawed, and that project was flawed, and it did come to an end. Like all of the Colors restaurants shut down, but they were going to open one in Oakland, and so I was on the board. That's like how I knew him, and I was like, "Who's this guy?" And like,
so he comes up to you and he's like, "Hey."
Yeah. I was like 8 months pregnant, and
did you say yes like right away? Or
no, he's like, "Are you busy these days?" And I like pointed to my belly.
Yeah. And he's like, "Nice."
But I was like, I think he was trying to reconcept his restaurants, and if you remember at that time, he had a Jamaican concept. He had
you know what? I don't remember that. And thank God.
Yeah. Well, it was with a Jamaican chef,
right.
with a Gujarati chef. He was like hand picking us a little bit.
Was that guy from Oakland? He was from around here?
Nigel, yeah.
Got you.
Yeah,
so he
Chef
just
Nigel.
went around.
Yeah.
Where's Chef Nigel now?
He's Kingston 11.
Okay.
And he has a new restaurant Calabash.
Okay.
But
I'm living in
that
a
was
shell
like
these days.
yeah, it's okay. I mean, I think I try to give people the benefit of the doubt that somehow in his mind he thought he was helping. But I think, again, this is like where when you're in a position of power, you can kind of lie to yourself and say you're helping others and giving them, but you are extracting, right? And so I knew that. And I was like, a Michelin star chef walks into your restaurant and says he wants to open a restaurant with you.
Yeah.
And you don't have to put any money in, but you don't know what you have to put in. Like, I think that's what I realized is
your
like,
soul.
Yeah, totally. Like your emotional labor, your unpaid labor, all these things. And then you're the face of it. So then you're a slave to it. Right.
Right.
But you have no power in the decision making of the actual business.
Right.
And I feel like so many young chefs get
roped into that.
100%. And I think to some extent I felt like I had a complex. I mean, I eventually, we court. He tried to. I mean, courting is kind of a very generous word. Like wanting to get married, like right away. Like, let's go. And I'm like, we gotta sign some contracts, and I need to protect myself. But it happened really fast.
Yeah.
I was pregnant.
Yeah.
He wanted to open in April of 2018. I had my child in March of 2018.
Oh, no sympathy. Just like,
well, yeah, I think he really needed now in retrospect.
like, you say you're a strong woman. Let's go.
Yeah.
You're like,
I was
what
literally
the fuck?
like giving birth to my child and like looking like in a daze thinking about the business plan. Like in the hospital thinking about the tiles at my new restaurant.
Years later, do you think it's affected your kid? That you were thinking about business plans while you were pregnant with it? Are they business oriented?
Like, he's like, sometimes I'll be like on an accounting call and he'll, he's like, playing with his Legos. Not really, kids listen. So they do. And he's not, he doesn't look like he is, but then he'll like ask me, so Mama, do you have enough money for the new bakery? We were working on a new bakery project at the time. And
he's like, have you secured your funding,
Have you
Mom?
secured your funding? Yeah, totally. He's like, and I was like, oh, we had a good day at the restaurant. Like, I'll say that. He's like, oh, did you make enough money today? He really thinks about that stuff.
Wow.
So, it's and I make business decisions to take care. I was at that point the only breadwinner, like literally the breadwinner of my family. And so, there's just a lot that goes into that. And like the Alpha was beautiful. I don't know if you ever went to it, but it earned Bib Gourmand like in its first year.
Mm-hmm.
It was very short lived. I walked away from the partnership.
Yeah.
In 2019.
Was it bloody? How was the first time that you had to tell him, like, yo, I'm leaving?
What can I disclose?
Yeah, what was it? Oh, that's right, your NDA. The statute of limitations, Chef. How long ago was it?
2019. It was dramatic.
Yeah, for sure.
And
I've seen this man jump up and down at the end of the line waiting for food. So
Yeah.
I can only imagine in a business meeting.
Yeah.
Where your star is about to walk away. LeBron's like,
yeah,
I'm good.
Yeah. And we all walked away at the same time.
Oh.
Yeah. And so
was he left holding the bag?
Yeah, of course.
Right.
Well, because it's his problem, right? Like we never signed up for
so I guess the risk
the risk for him was not that much. The risk for us was not that much either.
Right.
Except for the psychological.
Right.
And
I get that. Yeah, physical,
all of it. You ate. I mean, I had a baby. I had a new restaurant. Remember, Reem's was like
you
only
had 2 babies.
Yeah, 3 babies. Right. Diafa was a 3rd baby, and Reem's did. You know, I couldn't give it the attention that it needs. I literally didn't have a maternity leave, and you know, would I say that I got because of the like shiny tiles and chandeliers that my small humble bakery didn't have? Got some national attention? No, I'm not. They did, right? Like,
yeah.
So that gave me a platform, but it wasn't a platform I necessarily enjoyed.
Yeah.
Right? It was like for all the wrong reasons,
right.
You know? And I want to be big, but like that kind of fame where people were creating your own narrative for you.
Right.
Like I'm a protege all of a sudden, and like,
he's like, he's known her for years.
Yeah. And I'm like, no. And like, honestly, like it was a lot of back and forth of like, I'd like walk away for like a week and then like my food would be Europeanized. Like,
right.
Like what happened? It was a lot of like that. I mean, everything from the business to the food. And at the end of the day, I don't take abuse very well. Yeah, I had to walk away from the abuse. Sure. There was a lot of things that were happening in my life I was postpartum, and I was like, what matters to me? And it was like, I can walk away from, I proved myself.
Yeah.
I know that I can be a chef of a fine dining restaurant in a model that actually works. Because I think that was the thing that I got from like doing that was the free education. I mean, not the free education. I paid something for it.
Quick
but
education,
the
too.
quick education. I saw behind the curtains what happens. And honestly, fine dining restaurants are no differently run than like my small restaurant operation. At the time, I was like very insecure about how we were running things.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, we got this.
Yeah. Same standards.
Our SOPs are like actually more tight than this. We've thought about this.
Right.
You know, I could give business advice. I think like what he didn't realize is that he partnered with a business owner, right? So I think
which
so many chefs
didn't know much business.
He didn't. Well, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
You said it. I didn't.
It's all good, chef. I think there's plenty that would agree.
Yeah. Plenty
that would
psychological.
Doesn't he have something now? He has projects still.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, you know, it is
He's
what
a bona
it is.
fide line cook.
Hey, all good, chef.
But that's where he should be, right?
Right.
You know. So, anyways, I learned a lot, and I think you need things like that to like affirm. Oh shit, I'm actually good at what I do, and I can create something, and I can live by my values. And I think walking away really exemplified that, because I'll tell you this: 3 days after the shutdown, Diafa had shut down.
Really?
You know, who knows what happened to those employees?
Yeah.
Who knows where that PPP money went? I'm just saying.
Who knows? Who knows what happened to that?
Maybe that was the saving grace. I was like, I wanted it to fail on its own, not a global pandemic. But
right. It took a damn global
no,
pandemic.
I mean, I love Diafa was like my heart. You know, it was really beautiful, beautiful, beautiful space.
Do you have people that come in to Reem's now and they're like, oh, I met you at here?
Oh yeah, they miss. They're like, when are you gonna open another fine dining restaurant? I mean, people love Reem's.
Would you do it again?
Probably not on my own.
A fine diner?
I would just do it. I would build some menus and pick some tile out. And then compartmentalize a little bit.
Right.
There's too much emotion. I think, you know, for us,
maybe
where our food is like
CDC.
Yeah, we tried to find that. Yeah, totally. Yeah, exactly. I need like one of those young bucks.
Huh?
One of those young bucks.
That's right.
Who wants it more than I do. And I, like my CDC actually at Yafa started Beit Rima, which is another Palestinian owned restaurant. My kitchen.
On the come up.
Yeah, my sous chef from Reem's now has shawarma G. Like, I've spawned off the young guns who care.
You've done it.
I'm the Arab Alice Waters, but in a good way,
Hey, there we go. Alice Sand.
Yeah, so I don't want to do that, but I want to create space for other people to do that. Like I can express myself in so many ways through the food, but I don't. Yeah, it's too much. I mean, I'm trying. We're in the midst of selling Reams, my shares of Reams, to the employees. So
to the employees.
Oh yeah, to the employees.
Got you.
So I can compartmentalize a little bit.
You're gonna have some free time now.
Hopefully.
I think you will.
I hope so.
Did you take your maternity leave after you left
Yafa?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good question. Probably not. I went right back. No, we started Reem's Mission.
Oh, you just went.
Yeah, we opened Reem's. Like, I was like, okay, I can like chill out.
Yeah.
And then we got this opportunity to open a second restaurant in the Mission District. The folks who owned Mission Pie were like, we're leaving, but we don't want just anyone to come in this space. And I was like, really? Am I doing this? Do I really want to expand to San Francisco?
Right. That's tough.
But we did it. And our grand opening was slated for mid-March 2020.
Oh, wow.
We soft opened, and then we shut down.
Hard close, soft open.
Yeah. So I guess we I mean, we were essential workers at that time, so we didn't really get a break. But I got a break from the
people.
The bullshit. Yeah, exactly.
Reem!
I'm such an introvert. I'm like, I loved it when there are no people on the roads and we didn't have to deal with I don't know, when even Reem's, when it got food and wine, I mean, in my Fruitville location, it just started to attract a different clientele that I was not ready for, that like high maintenance.
Talk to me.
Yeah, like I need to be centered. And I'm like, no, Reem's has always been a place as come as you are.
Right.
We'll take care of you. That's Arab hospitality. It's the Arab way. But
hey, I got a table for 4 coming in, Reem. You're like, who the fuck are you? Get in line, you son of a bitch.
We could say it in a nicer way. Here, have some bread. Here, have some coffee. Here, have some tea.
I just don't have what's it called? A line, I guess, anymore. Crazy.
Yeah.
But tell me where La Cocina comes into all this.
Yeah, La Cocina, I mean, they're still forever part of it. Once a La Cocina family member, always. But La Cocina, you're familiar with
I'm familiar with it, yeah.
The social mission of it is really, I love how it came about because it was really a response to the hyper gentrification of the Mission District, where it was started, where you had the .com boom, you had a lot of people moving into the Mission District, pricing people out, and then you had all these Latinx, mostly Latina women who were in the informal market, as they would say, that could no longer compete with people in the formal market. So the idea was if we formalize people's business and help them scale, then they can be self-sustaining and be able to stay in the mission and feed their families. So I really loved that concept of let's compete with people on, because they were amazing entrepreneurs in the informal. So if we could just take that and formalize it. So I joined La Cocina. I kind of cut my teeth. I'm a trained baker, actually. I'm not...
not a savory.
I'm not a savory cook.
You're not a savory.
No, not a savory.
So you were in the bakery. What attracted you about that? The science of it?
The science of it. I was very much, and I think I became a baker because I became obsessed with bread. As again, it goes back to my roots. I went to the Arab world in 2010. to Lebanon and Syria and discovered these bakeries and the life inside them. And I wanted to bring that back to the US. So I was like, I had been organizing. I mean, before I was a culinary person, I was like 10 years in the like nonprofit industry.
Right.
So culinary was not the thing.
Did you cook at home during this time, or cook at all?
Not really. Not. I mean, I always joke that I was pretty like feminist in that like I never wanted to be in the kitchen
Behind the stove.
Yeah, because especially when it's expected of me.
Got it.
When people started when I started to get like national press around being a chef, a lot of my friends in high school and college were like, "Oh yeah, I could see that." So I must have like, I don't know, some cognitive dissonance, but they were like, "Oh yeah, you were always cooking for us. You were always in the dorms." So, but yeah, I became obsessed with bread, and there's something about just the precision, the alchemy of baking that I really love. You have that in cooking, but it's a little bit different.
It's quicker.
It's quicker. I mean, it could be quick with the baking too.
Right.
But there's something about like when you bake something, it's a special occasion.
Oh.
It's an offering. You don't just bake every day unless it's bread, and bread is life. And
right. Bread life.
Yeah, just all these things. Yeah, I became a nerd. I'm a nerd, So that's what I did. I worked at Arizmendi Bakery and Pizzeria. Like that was kind of my most notable training, and I started to do these pop-ups, kind of knowing what I knew about bread with Reem's, right?
Yeah.
I always had the concept of an Arab street corner bakery. And somebody told me about La Cocina. I had done every entrepreneurship program you could think of.
Really?
Yeah, the Women's Initiative. So, there's just so many that existed. I was like, I'm going to learn everything.
Now that you've done them all,
yeah,
would you say that you need to do that? Or would you say that they all kind of teach the same things?
They do, but there's different iterations of your business where you're like, oh, that makes sense now. Do you know what I'm saying? Some are theoretical and some are like, so I liked the repetition of it. It was
good
kind of iterative.
Too.
And the connections, exactly. So La Cocina, I mean, I learned so much, but they're pretty competitive.
Yeah.
I remember, sitting like having to convince them. I mean, my first concept was like a wood-fired mobile oven, and they're like, "Don't do that. That's going to be so much capital." Like they talked me out of that real fast. And I got into the program in 2014. I was catering. I was doing all sorts of pop-ups, and they taught me really how to be. They're like, you can't just do the bread. You have to do everything else around it. And all of a sudden I found myself running, we started with farmers markets. I learned about kind of flows and operations. And in the baking world, our flows are really, every minute is accounted for. In cooking, it's a much different, like I had to learn how to expo. I had to learn how to do all these things that I'd never worked in a restaurant. Do that.
What's the best way to do it is just do it.
Just do it. Yeah. So I opened, we went from 1 to 5 farmers markets in a year. And then from there, we opened a brick and mortar in 2017. And, they kind of held my hand through it all. They were like, you're ready to graduate. And I was like, I'm not ready. And, so I learned how to work in a commercial kitchen. And then that kind of skill helps me figure out what service looks like. And those early days were really rough, but we got good at it. I would say like I'm an all right line cook. Pretty good. I mean, I've seen some really bad line cooks out there.
It's okay, chef.
I worked that oven. I worked that oven on. Yeah, it's true. I'd rather be a good line cook than a good chef, though. I really felt like I took that very seriously. Like I needed to learn the mechanics of it. Same thing with, I didn't want to just open a bakery. I wanted to like really learn and work as a pastry chef, as a baker, all of these things, get the technical skills.
Right.
People take you seriously when you have that. And to be able to teach my employees why you do something, not just because you do it, just because you do it.
Yeah.
To be able to have the words and the methodologies and the technical, I think gives me respect. I don't know.
No, I like that.
Yeah.
From your nonprofit days to kind of getting into baking.
Yeah.
How was that? Was your family like, what the
yeah, they were like, you got this like really expensive liberal arts degree, and they didn't understand what I did.
Right.
They were like, oh, she's like Obama. When Obama like was elected, because he like popularized community organizing, like what that means. And they were like, we have a word for it. She's Obama.
There you go.
And I'm like, I am not Obama. That's a whole other podcast.
There you go.
Yeah, they didn't know. They saw that I had this like really low paying job. Like in Arab culture, it's like, you're either a doctor or an engineer or like a lawyer. They're like, she's not going to be a doctor. We've given up on that. She's not going to be an engineer. Maybe she could be a lawyer. Like you're a professional. Like that's why we came to this country, so that you can.
What do they do for a living?
My mom is a scientist,
cool.
But she went to school when we grew up. But yeah, she was always like, Palestinians are some of the most overeducated people you'll ever know.
Okay.
Because like we had no opportunities, so we had to be overeducated to like figure out a way to get out. And my dad is retired now, but he was an engineer for 40 years.
So high expectations.
High expectations.
Do you have brothers and sisters?
Yeah, 2 sisters.
Got it. Older, younger?
Younger. I'm the oldest.
Okay.
Yeah, so I had a lot on me.
Sure.
I was a black sheep in my family. I was definitely like the hippie.
Right.
Chill out, quite man. Fit in. Not in the I was like the East Coast hippie.
Yeah, for sure.
I wanted things to slow down because I had like high anxiety and stuff. And so California was a very healing space for me. And so I moved out here in 2003. I dropped out of school. I came out here. And so they were really worried for me.
Did you have family over here?
I had an uncle and an aunt who kind of took me in.
Yeah.
And they like nursed me.
They're like, we
health.
Understand.
Yeah, they were like, they were
California.
like the outcasts in their families too. Like and so they'd got into social justice work, and that's where I learned about like, oh, you could have a profession in like knocking on people's doors and doing the greater good. But I was an anti-war activist. I was out on the front lines in 2003 when the US invaded Iraq. So I found my calling in California. And yeah, like we were just talking about being in the East Coast. Like now I'm like, oh, there's like some things where I'm just like, you guys move way too slow for me. And
for sure.
But there was something very healing about people stopping in the street, looking you in the eye and like asking you how you were doing.
Right.
I was like, well, you're looking at me? Like, you ask for directions in the East Coast and they look like you're panhandling.
Yeah.
They look at you like,
fuck out of my face. Yeah. You're like.
So I did that work. I found jobs in kind of the nonprofit industry. But then I realized that industry also was super problematic. They were like, you have to like commit your life. It's kind of like the food industry of like, for the greater good of it. And, you could really fall into that because the stakes are so high. With food, I'm like, it's just fucking food. Like I've been there. So I saw that, when I was in the food industry. I'm like, I'm not going to give my life for this and get underpaid. But yeah, in the nonprofit world. So I really burnt out, and I saw that there were limitations to organizing, particularly Black and Brown communities.
Yeah.
Of trying to mobilize them to fight against these policies that were not good, around housing and jobs. But like, they couldn't even, like, their scope of what the world could be was so limited because they were in survival mode.
Yeah,
right?
It's true.
So I was like, I want to do that more like transformative organizing, I call it, where you meet people where they're at, you take your time with them, you build trust. And the nonprofit is like, what's the next hot thing? I'd spend like
who's impoverished?
Yeah, exactly. Let's pimp that. We'll give and it's like these foundations like sprinkling crumbs. And I was just like, I didn't want to do that. And so I wanted
it's dirty.
Yeah. So it was really like I got into the food just kind of I'm the accidental restaurateur. I was like, let me use food as a tool to like do that work with people. And I always wanted Reem's to be just kind of this space to do that. And in many ways it is, but yeah, that's kind of how I got into food. It was just like to take care of my own burnout. And like I was like unemployed for a good chunk of time. I went, I did baking and pastry at Laney College.
Yeah.
Shout out to Laney College.
You're like, I'm burnt out.
I just didn't want to spend money. No, I didn't want to spend money on I did. I mean,
you're like, I'm burnt out. Let me open a restaurant.
It took some time. I was doing some fun things. I had fun employment, and I was like, playing. I was just like fucking around,
playing sick.
like no,
it's pandemic.
No. I mean, this was way before that. Gotcha. That was in 2010.
Yeah, so 2010 seemed to be a really big year
2010 was the year where I left everything.
You shed it all.
I shed it all, and what
made you go back to Lebanon and Syria?
I was burnt out, and I took a sabbatical from my nonprofit job at the time, and my dad was going, and me and my dad had been really estranged.
Oh,
at that
that's
point.
really cool. So you got rebonded.
So we got rebonded. I got to kind of like understand why he is the way he is.
Yeah.
What made us so estranged, and like realize that actually our paths in some ways were very similar.
Right. Were you mad at him when you were estranged? Did you think it was his fault?
Oh yeah, I was super mad at him.
I was mad at you?
Myself, I think none of us were really, we were just sad that we couldn't see eye to eye on things.
Right. Is
like
it more political or like growing up?
I think my dad was a very religious Muslim man, and I think that I think with immigrants, your culture and your like religion and all that stuff gets like super amplified because you're like in this sea of
otherness, yeah. Especially where
like,
Massachusetts,
yeah, like, and we were like in a sea of whiteness, right?
What town?
Sudbury.
Ooh,
yeah, very small town.
Very mass
hole.
Yeah. There's like no sidewalks in those small towns. There's only the road and the grass.
There was, at the time it was like a lot of forest.
Yeah.
It was like it was this weird phenomenon, and I think that stuff just gets more and more exaggerated. And I was confused as to who I was. I think.
Were people around you confused?
Everybody. We're all confused, and I think my cultural upbringing, like I was my parents didn't get along either, and they got divorced right in around 9/11. All these things were happening at the same time, and so I was super traumatized by all of that. And I think I was an extension of my mother at that time. My dad couldn't differentiate between the two.
Right.
I was her advocate, and I was in the middle of all of their shenanigans.
2 versus 1, baby.
Hard. Yeah. No, I was not. I was
You're playing referee.
Middle. Yeah.
Got it. That's tough.
Anyways, it was hard, and I always felt like I was never enough, and we're good now. Like I think we have an understanding of each other. He's super proud of me, and that particular trip I think really solidified. So I think my dad really gets why I do the food stuff. He still wants to give me unsolicited business advice all the time. Yeah. I'm like, who's done this longer?
Right.
Have you been a business owner? Like my dad's never been a business owner. So I don't know why he feels like he doesn't understand so there's like the political stuff too. Like my dad was he was on the forefront of like revolutionary movements that failed in the Arab world. So he doesn't want me to be disappointed. He's like, how are you going to be? He's like, he thinks I'm running some like communist enterprise.
Right.
In the midst of, this capitalist system.
Right. Well, I mean, he's like, your social media is very active.
Yeah, he doesn't understand. He's like, why would you want to like share with your employees? They're not going to care about it. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Like we have to like figure out how they care about it, and like I have a comeback for everything that my dad says, but he's hilarious. He's like, it all comes from a place of like him wanting to be a dad, and like give me advice. He like,
old school dads giving advice in the new school.
Yeah,
that's
he's
crazy.
Like, but I think he really respects. And my mom also like, you know, they were really worried for me at some point. They were like, she wants to be a baker. Like she was already underpaid and like struggling, and now, you know. So I was always like, my sisters are professionals, and I was always making the least amount of money and struggling. So they were worried for me, but I think now they get it.
Now they're good.
No, they're good.
They're like, oh, thank God.
Oh, she has a book. Like they were documented in the book.
Yeah.
Like I get to tell their stories. So I think that makes them feel proud.
For sure.
Yeah. So
tell me about the book.
Yeah. And my mom, she like calls me to ask me for recipes.
Ah, that's cool.
Which is really cool.
That's really cool. Yeah.
She still makes fun of me sometimes because my mom was a very practical chef.
Yeah.
She was going to school and working.
Will she ask you for recipes for things she already has?
A little bit. She's like, how do you do it? You know?
Yeah.
Like, how do you? I think she means it.
Right.
Or I don't know. Your face tells me otherwise.
No. I'm saying that I could picture her on the phone being like, nah, I'm not gonna do that.
Oh,
just
yeah,
like
totally.
ask you for
just
just
me, and then just like,
yeah, I just want to know what you put in yours. Yeah,
yeah,
it's like,
totally.
Yeah, I get it.
I could see that. Yeah, she does that sometimes. She pulls that shit. Does your mom pull that shit?
Yeah, basically with just like, you know, your family would just roast you. Like, who do you think you are? You know what I mean? Like that kind of shit.
I think my mom really does. They both have a respect. My dad loves when I like make something when I visit and stuff. But yeah,
that's funny.
Yeah,
my family is like, they don't understand They don't understand where the world I came from.
Yeah,
right. Because a lot of it is you work long hours.
Yeah,
and like if you're not used to that, you're like, why are you?
Yeah,
but you did it over here. Now you're doing it over there. Or you leave a restaurant to go somewhere else, and they're like, you're leaving?
Yeah,
but you have a job.
Yeah,
and be like, no, there's more.
There's more out there. It's not just money. Yeah.
Right.
They were very confused about Diafa, but they understood at the end kind of why I made I'm like, as soon as you stop getting paid.
Yeah, for sure. You got to get the fuck out.
Yeah.
There's only, you know, at the end of the day, it's black and white. We're doing this for money.
Yeah.
Okay. If you can't make money, then
people are always asking me at Reem's too, like, how come you don't have this menu item or this thing? And I'm like, because it doesn't make me money. Like, I know that sounds hard for you all, but like, businesses can't be what they were.
Right.
Even 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like we've done everything at Reem's. We've pulled, you know, we had like the most elaborate, beautiful meal kits during the pandemic. And full service catering. You know, we were doing everything to survive. But at the end of the day, you kind of have to make some business decisions, and the business decisions have to be at the expense of something.
Yeah.
And for me, I choose not to be at the expense of my employees and their well-being. So what that means is like sometimes our menus are not as exciting. They're just more streamlined, you know? And then I get to do the creative stuff through my cookbook, through the events and the special, you know, food festivals where we get to do Arab party fries.
Yeah. So the cookbook was, did you always want to do a cookbook?
No, absolutely not. Yeah.
Did someone approach you and said, hey, you want to do a cookbook?
I was getting approached in my first year. Yeah, totally. The first year, I was like in 2017.
Yeah.
Like 3 different agents who really wanted me to do a cookbook. And I was like, I'm just learning how to run a restaurant right now. Like I was flailing, you know, it was lots of hard lessons in those beginning years.
What made you finally say yes?
I think leaving Diafa. I didn't feel like my story was really told, and I wanted to finally tell it the way I wanted to tell it.
Right.
I wanted to write like a more autobiographical thing, and apparently I'm not famous enough to have an autobiography. So I had to settle for a cookbook, but I kind of tried to weave both things in. If you've ever seen Arabia, it's like vignettes of my life, and I kind of themed the food to the stories rather than the other way around. I'm glad that I sold it in 2019. God knows what would have happened in 2020. But in 2019, when I was like thinking of leaving, I went back to the agent, a Puerto Rican.
Hey,
also, fellow New Yorker. Oh, I guess I
What's his name?
fellow East Coaster, Rika Elenek.
Okay.
Shout out to Rika. And she was just like, I really loved that she was like, trying to get more women of colors,
Yeah.
voices. So I knew she was gonna vouch for me. And yeah, we sold it in late 2019, and I spent the pandemic writing it, which was really healing. I did it with my aunt.
Wow.
I needed an accountability partner
Yeah.
because those days were really tough. I was trying to save two businesses and
Oh, like then you gotta get home after a long ass day and be like, right.
yeah, we were doing that. I mean, I was working long brunch services where
Yeah.
I was like, it was like my management team. We were the line cooks.
I mean, I think that kind of energy helps to put the passion in the book.
Totally. And it was something a little different than having to be in survival mode all the time. It was
Yeah.
like you had to like, it was hard though. You have to dig deep and question a lot of things in your recipes, like how to make it not to like take away from it, but make it accessible to the average home cook was really hard for me because I had just adjusted to learning how to like formulate recipes for large
like
format scaling
right.
and now you're telling me I have to do volumes instead of weights and I can only use one pan.
One pan.
You ever seen those cookbooks where you have to have like a whole,
Oh, right. You just bake everything or did everything in one pan. That's such a good idea.
I'm just saying like less utensils and less because like the average home cook is not going to have all the gadgets and fun things that you would have in a restaurant.
I guess you make a good point. Like, do you write a cookbook for the sake of it looking pretty on the bookshelf or actually cooking from it? And you wrote it
I
for
wrote
people
it for
to cook from it.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
I wanted to tell beautiful stories, and I
Yeah.
did. I mean, I spent
Some
a
these
lot of
back
money
here
on
are
it.
like that.
Yeah,
Budmore,
yeah,
Diasporican, for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. And Diasporican is very similar. I feel like to my cookbook in that way. Same. Shout out to 10 Speed Press.
Yeah,
They
Eliana
make really good
Maisonet.
books too. 10 Speed Press.
Yeah. What makes them better in terms of bookmaking?
I don't know. I feel like for me, it was between them and Clarkson and Potter, who are owned by the same parent company.
So it's the same people.
Same different offices.
Come on.
The same gatekeepers, right?
Uh-huh.
But I think for me, the determining factor was like, well, also I called my dear friend Bryant Terry, who makes books with them. He's like, damn, you need to.
Right.
So
Those
I
are
trust the people, right? But it was women. There was a lot of women, so they were going to understand my perspective as a woman. But also California, like it being local in California,
Right.
really the vibe of my
sense.
book,
Yeah.
Celebrates place. So, and they didn't really censor me. Like I wrote some pretty intense things.
Really?
In my cookbook, yeah. I mean,
is there anything
the first story was like how to host like an Arab was like the story of my grandmother being kicked out of her village in 1948 to create the state of Israel. So I wrote, and that's my story. You have to understand my grandmother, who was the matriarch, who taught me what I know about approach to food and hospitality. Yeah, they didn't really censor me in any way. If anything, just to help me make it stronger and more beautiful and more,
That whole process, how long is that?
From start to finish, 3 years.
3 years. Like when you did it, where you're like,
it was crazy. I mean, the proposal itself was like a 30-page document. It was like a business plan, that took 6 months. Took another year to write the manuscript, which felt like eternity because it's in the middle of a global pandemic.
Yeah.
The editing was grueling. The recipe testing, I had like an amazing recipe tester. Yeah. I mean, all of it was great. In some way, I learned a lot of things that helped me approach my business now. But I knew I didn't know if I was ever going to make another book. I may make another book. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. It's like having a child. I'm one and done with children, at least. But I said that I was with cookbooks. I'm already thinking.
It's like a tattoo. You're like, let me get another one.
No, it's like.
Do you like the process of it, of doing the book?
I liked
Or
it.
the
Yeah.
after effect of like having the book on the shelf and selling
The
it?
after effects.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that 2022 when you could finally travel and I was
Yeah.
going all over the country and building community with the most random people over this book was like euphoric. You know, like
Yeah.
people I would have never connected with.
Reading your words and
Reading my words and
reciting it
touch
back to
thing.
you.
Yeah, being touched by them and
Uh-huh.
like seeing on Instagram people cooking your food and like conjuring up the story of your family
Yeah.
in their kitchens. Like there's something really amazing. Like I think the cookbook built community far wider than the four walls of my restaurant ever can.
Mhm.
Right. So it's a different kind of feeling.
That's very beautiful. To have a cookbook, like, you know, a lot of the things that you're doing are young people's dreams, you know? So
Yeah.
just know that
You can do it too.
you know, fuck yeah. That's why we're
Yeah.
doing this
Yeah.
out here.
Yeah.
So what do you want? Like, what is the end goal for you? What are you trying to do with you trying to have an empire?
No, I'm trying to smash empire.
Okay, got you. Are you trying to have Reems everywhere in the world? In
no.
the airport?
No, I mean I would have loved. Yeah,
The airport is so prime.
Yeah, that would be really amazing. And
Chef, you can do it.
I mean, my workers can do it once they run it.
Right.
I don't. I feel like I never signed up to be a small business owner forever, so I can help advise.
For sure. I think Harvey Milk Terminal needs.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
I think
they need
Reems would be
Reems.
amazing.
Oh my God, right there. Big and colorful like your cookbook.
Yeah.
Chef.
The Manusha would be like perfect for travel.
My God.
Yeah. Yeah, who knows? I mean, that's definitely like an opportunity.
Yeah.
But I need to let go of Reems as me making the sole decision and because I want to do other projects and not be beholden. But people all over the country want Reems. I'm like, if you want to start a Reems, like
you're gonna franchise the Reems.
maybe franchise it as a worker-owned space, right? Like
that would be dope.
Yeah, instead of the bad parts of franchise, like you have to be anti-racist, and you know, you need to treat your workers well. All your workers have to be, you know, like coming up with the blueprint, right?
Be passionate about it.
Yeah, be passionate. Really understand the history of whatever it is that we could like patent and put in there. And then if people want to start it, they can do it in their own cities.
That's crazy. So are you doing all this by yourself? Are you a business partner?
I mean, my employees. Yeah. I mean, I have really good people around me. I have financial advisors. Reems got funded by a group called the Real People's Fund.
Okay.
Which, if you can tell by the name, is pretty down
to earth
group.
Yeah.
You know, they're like, we want to decolonize investment. We want
definitely.
We're investing in somebody who can give back to the community. And
tenfold.
Exactly. And so they've been helping me. Just figure out what that pathway is to scaling. But right now, how we're working on scaling Reems is not through the restaurant model, but through our CPG line. Yeah.
Okay.
Like getting as many manaish and pita bread and our cookies. That's a new SKU that we have into as many homes and hands as possible.
You going
through the grocery
Whole
stores
and all that?
Yeah, we're trying to like work on those.
Chef.
Yeah, so that we feel like that is a very profitable when you scale it, and that allows our restaurants to just be, you know what I mean? Not like
you're heading into
be stressed out from the volatility of foot traffic.
You're doing the right thing,
Yeah,
you know, because a lot of people in your same shoes who don't move on get bitter and angry and eventually fizzle out.
Yeah.
You know, it gets too much for them. So you're taking the right step.
I'm moving out of a ownership, so I don't feel the burden of it, but I'm still invested because my workers can't afford to buy Reems. So they would I would be making an earn out. So they're paying me over time. So I'm invested in
it.
protecting my investment, obviously. It's like a way to keep me involved. And
honestly,
invested.
I think more people should do that when it comes to just like small shit, like selling cars. Like, you know, why do you need the whole 10 grand up front? Just like, you know, take an installment payment, you get to help a family at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
And, you know, not saying everybody needs to become a bank, but goddamn, like, you know,
it's great. Yeah. I'm like, I feel like it keeps me invested enough without feeling like I have the whole weight of it on my shoulders, you know, and should folks not want to do that? Like I would have to shut down Reams, you know, because I think I'm not willing to sell it to anyone else except for the people working it.
Yeah.
That's what keeps it special.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Wow. The story of Reams.
The story of Reams.
And they got you to pretty far places. Now
I mean, we're in the Ferry building now. You know, like
historic.
The model is really to have kind of a central hub that is a commissary flagship one day, hopefully, putting it out there in the world that produces everything.
Right.
So then there's like continuity. Like even we're in the airport, I would want to sell our dough or our bread to the people in the airport. Because those I don't know if you know how those airport deals are.
No.
You're not the one running it. It's some company who runs it.
You're just giving them the recipes and letting them go.
Exactly. You're not giving them the SOP. So you want to control as much as you can in terms of quality. So why not sell them our bread?
Yeah.
And then at least we know, you know, they're not fucking up things.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we get some money out of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
The enterprise.
Do you feel like you have any direct competition right now as it stands?
Reem?
Yeah.
I don't believe in competition. I feel like the more the merrier.
Right.
Honestly, I don't think there is anything like Reams just because Reams is just so like unique and it's those.
Well, it's you, essentially.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a big extension of you.
Yeah. I always tell my employees, it doesn't matter what I do, like any, you know, like coverage I get is going to immediately go back to Reams, whether I own it or not. People don't have to know.
Right.
And if I were you, I would not change the name because that's your biggest asset.
Right.
In some way. But Reams is not, I mean, even though my name is.
Right. I would also tell them too, like if you fuck it up, it's also on me. So.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that too. Don't fuck it up. But if they fuck it up, it's also not on me if I don't own it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it alleviates me that like fear of failure too. But yeah, I'm like, that's the biggest asset. That's something that I can offer. But I know that Reams can't be what it is without the employees. You know, I didn't do all of that. Like people are like, oh, you cooked this. I'm like, I didn't do it.
I didn't do it.
I didn't cook it. That was Armando, you know, who's worked for me for 7 years and has nailed that chicken recipe down to its very last item, you know? So yeah, I know that Reams couldn't, like, the employees have to see themselves as the lifeline to it. I can end Reams and start something new.
Yeah.
Like it can never be Reams without them.
Chef, I think you might be going back into your fine dining era.
Oh no, don't.
Yeah, chef. Come on, we need one.
I just want to
ride off in the sunset.
No, you know, I would love for like a really good restaurant group to do it. And I could sell my name and likeness. And I mean, I'm not even shy about that. You know, I just want to put my food out in the world and my story out in the world, but I don't want to do the work of owning a restaurant.
When you say name and likeness, or like you are the brand, right?
The brand, yeah.
So you are basically copyrighted. Like I can't open up a spot. It kind of looks like you. Call it Breams.
I might come after you. I've seen people, you know.
You seen people buying some stuff?
Yeah.
Chef, it happens, you know?
It happens, yeah. It's a form of flattery.
You're leading away. You're leading away.
I always just like, I don't think.
They know you know.
I'm a shapeshifter. They know I know.
They know you know.
They won't say it. I won't.
They won't.
And I won't ever call them out.
And it's fine.
Because I go high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they'll figure it out. They'll find themselves within your recipes.
Diafa, when I walked away, they got a new chef and they continued, but it wasn't the same without me, right? Like, so I just want to put my little pixie dust on things. Like, I want to be behind it, but I don't want to be responsible for it.
Yeah.
Can I get that?
I think you can get that. I think you can get that.
It doesn't mean I don't put in work, but it's a different kind of work, right? Like, I never wanted to be a restaurant owner forever. So it's not.
Let's say
I'm a visionary. I'm a creative. I have ADD. I need to have my hand in like 20 different projects.
You're out there also doing a lot of speaking right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that coming through from an agent that you have, or is that just community outreach people just being like, you need to come here?
People reaching out to me.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're becoming like a national.
I mean, I'm trying. I don't think
symbol.
I'm trying.
I would say you are, because as far as I'm concerned, like you're
thank you,
the biggest Arab that I know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
and I really do think we coined Arab food. Like, it was called Middle Eastern before I said Arab is a good word. Don't make it a derogatory, like people are really afraid to call Arab food what it was.
No one wants to get canceled.
I do think we were part of a renaissance.
Okay.
I wouldn't say I was the only one, but I do think when Reems came on the scene and said, we make Arab street food with California love, we definitely paved a path for other people to say, my food is Palestinian, my food is Syrian, my food is Lebanese, my food, the nuances, the breadth, the depth, all of that. Like, I feel very proud that we've done that and we'll continue to do that. Because God knows, our food is one way to humanize us. Hopefully it pushes people to interact with us more than just our food,
Right.
But at least let's not hide behind the guise of Mediterranean or Middle Eastern or this like Orient, like
I feel like sometimes when you do that,
you got to come out of the closet a little bit.
You box yourself out to great recipes.
Yeah.
Because when you put Mediterranean, only a little bit of the greatest hits of the different regions come up, right? And I'm like, how do we get like...
Well, we say Mediterranean also because we're afraid of the backlash. We're afraid, we're calling it that, but it's not actually Mediterranean. Some things on Mediterranean menus, I'm like, that's not from the Mediterranean. That's from the Gulf, or that, that's in... It's
lying.
Well, they're scared, right? It's like, I'm trying to think of an analogy for it because there isn't quite...
What should a
like
restaurant...
Southern food.
Yeah.
No, it's black food, like...
What should a restaurant do that's afraid to say it? Like, if you weren't... Like, what makes you unafraid? And if I'm a business owner and I'm afraid...
right? I was like, let's just try it.
Right.
And then I got some backlash, right? I don't know, like...
From who?
From right-wing forces and Zionists who tried to shut down my restaurant in 2017. Okay. Yeah, we were written about in Breitbart, and they were like this, because I had a mural of a Palestinian activist up on my wall. I mean, the very simplest things that I didn't know were going to be controversial.
Yeah, you're just like, that looks cool.
Yeah. And so like what I realized is like, it doesn't matter what you do, if you're going to like be proud of your heritage as an Arab or as a Palestinian. I mean, that's like double whammy for me, right?
Yeah.
Because your very existence is controversial. And you know what it did for me? It gave me free PR.
Yeah.
And I didn't back down. And I got James Beard Award nominations, and Food and Wine named us top 10 new restaurant in the country. So what I would tell people is like, look at me as a case study, find your community, find the people who are going to back you, build your following. So you're Teflon against the haters, and it's not that bad.
Right. Your community will most likely take care of it for you.
Totally. And that's what happened. I was like, actually, we were like the busiest when we got the backlash because they were like, what? They're not going to mess with Reems. We're going to organize an eat-in. And I was like, okay, don't all come at the same time.
Yeah, please.
And my poor employees are like, shit. Like,
Please let me know when you're protesting.
Yeah, like, or like, because we had a lot of business from it, but it was all coming in like big swoops. And that's hard on us as a restaurant. We want to be able to give everybody that service, that hospitality.
Right.
So yeah, I want to do more things like that. I want to write. I want to be on TV. I want to, tell the story, spread the gospel of Arab hospitality. It's such a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And if you can engage with the people as much as you do with the food, then maybe when you see our bodies getting massacred, you'll do something about it.
Yeah.
It's your tax dollars.
Mm-hmm.
So it is political. And I wish that I humanized my people enough for people to care. Like Palestinian food became kind of like the in thing, right? As, you know, the lead up to October 7th was happening. And then all of a sudden, nothing, you know? So what I have to deal with as a Palestinian is very hard.
Yeah.
That's real talk.
I heard that.
Got serious.
I heard that. Hey, is there any other Palestinian chefs that you feel like are also on your same wavelength?
Oh, yeah.
Who are they?
I mean, shout out to Chef Michael Rafidi, the only Michelin a Palestinian restaurant.
Whoa!
Michelin star. And his, like, I think his cafe is yellow, just got Bib Gourmand,
Wow.
which he was like, really, he's like, no, I didn't want that because, you know, it's like,
he wanted to keep it regular.
he wanted to keep it for the folks,
Right,
you know? It's like hard. Once you get a star, it's like, it's a whole different set. But I've been in his kitchens and we did collabs together, and he just opened a cocktail bar called La Shukran.
Wow.
Means no thank you. It's like this like Arab funk.
In DC, chef, in the capital.
In DC, yeah. So he's a really amazing Palestinian chef, really going back to his roots. Has worked for some of the best. You know, he was part of, I think he was here local at some point. He was working for Michael Minna. Yeah, I would say like he's just really pushing, you know, pushing the boundaries on what Palestinian diasporic food is, right? Because I think, you know, there are a lot of chefs out there that are doing the traditional stuff, but
I could see
taking it to a next level.
A Reem Rafidi.
I love working with him. I respect him so much, and
that's so cool.
What he's built. And yeah, whenever I'm out in DC, I'm like, let's do something, chef. But he's, you know, I'm not fancy enough. I'm a little bit more rustic.
It's all good, chef. We'll get there. We'll get there. That's funny.
I don't have tweezers. I'm like,
yeah. God love him. Yeah, shout out to him for doing what he's doing.
No, he's amazing. And
damn right.
Yeah, I hope I'll put this in the universe. I hope he comes out with a cookbook.
Definitely. Cookbook, Sucio Talk. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Reem, how can we find you? How can people find you?
I'm mostly hanging out, I guess, on the grams. I don't know.
Find out
come
the
see me.
gram.
I'm usually hiding in my basement of my restaurant at Reem's California Mission on the corner of 25th and Mission for local folks. Or you can find me at reem.assil or at Reem's California. Yeah. And I'm gallivanting across the country doing different pop-ups and activations. So
that's amazing.
Also buy my book, Arabiya.
Everywhere, available everywhere.
Wherever books are sold.
Hell yeah.
Don't buy it from Amazon. Try not to buy it from Amazon, but
Omnivore Books. Shout out to you.
Yes.
Well, hell yeah, Reem. Thank you so much for doing this. I know we've been talking about it for a while, but you're just like, let's make it happen.
Let's do it.
Those are always the best podcasts.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Won't be the last time I'll be talking to you.
For sure.
When you open your fine dining restaurant, we'll see you back here. All right, everybody. We'll see you next time. Shout out to you, Chef Sucio Talk. Peace. There you go.
There it is.
We did it.
Nice and live.
Yeah.
Is it live and direct? No, you edit it.
It's recorded.
You edit it. It's recorded.
I won't edit it.
You won't edit it. Yeah.
No, because you know, as far as I'm
Can't
concerned.
talk no shit.